another week, another hoax. That's the focus of tonight's angle. He sounded so sure until he wasn't.
That is a war crime, full stop.
The admiral confirmed that there had not been a kill them all order and that there was not an order to grant no quarter.
So does it exonerate Hegseth?
That's all I've got to say. I bet. Well, what else is there to say? They never learn, though. As Donald Trump is busy brokering peace deals and making America richer and safer, Democrats are busy making total fools of themselves. Because when they're not defending criminal illegals, Somali fraudsters, and international drug traffickers, they're trying to get their first scalp in the Trump cabinet. And until this morning, they thought they had it.
A new report from the Washington Post leads some lawmakers to ask whether the Pentagon has committed a war crime.
What we've seen here over the last couple of days, clearly unlawful, illegal orders.
It goes to this order from the secretary, apparently of no quarter, which is an obvious war crimes violation.
Let me be very clear. Killing shipwreck survivors is a war crime.
Thank you, Ted. Well, this all stemmed from breathless media reports, starting with the Washington Post, that in that September 2nd strike on the drug boat, Hegseth had given a direct order to kill any and all survivors. Well, of course, Secretary Hegseth denied that account to no avail, but the Beltway mob was still after him. Then last night, the narrative totally began to fall apart because the threat remained after the first strike, and the threat needed to be eliminated.
According to a source familiar with the incident, the two survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets.
Ruh-roh. Then today on Capitol Hill, Admiral Bradley launched a truth bomb behind closed doors.
Was there a kill-all order from Secretary Hegseth?
No, both. Admiral Bradley was very clear that he was given no such order, not to give no quarter or to kill them all. He was given an order that, of course, was written down in great detail, as our military always does.
But was there a vocal order as well?
There's no vocal order either.
Of course, after hyping the story, though, all week, Democrats did their best to salvage their own wreckage.
I don't reach the same conclusion that Senator Cotton does if you're describing it as righteous. He said that. But I have more policy questions than ever about the framing of the mission, the rules of engagement.
I thought it was a legal challenge. Now it's a policy difference. Translation, there is no war crime. And because their #1 priority is another Trump impeachment, they box themselves into a corner.
Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors. Now, there's a whole set of contextual items that the Admiral explained. Yes, they were carrying drugs.
I'm surprised they didn't call them Gilligan and the Professor, right? Just shipwrecked sailors. Well, and not so long ago, remember, Democrats agreed that destroying these threats was a good thing.
Let's go after the drug lords where they live, with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists, and they must know it.
Oh, my. Have things changed in the Democrat Party? Now they prefer a softer approach.
If these boats are full of drugs and narco-traffickers, why not interdict them, show to the country, show to the world the drugs and the terrorists, the narco-terrorists?
And give them some hot chocolate, too. Great idea. Let's hire them all lawyers as well. Now, you see how Trump has them all trapped here? He wants to make America great again. They want to make drug running safe again.
Forget the war crimes. Okay. Forget what the U.S. Army manual says. Forget what the DOD manual says. So, yeah, they're making up as they go along every day. And the inconsistency of it all, again, looks very bad.
What looks bad is the egg on their faces. Trump's success has scrambled their brains. And that's the angle.
It was opening day at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. Yep, Rubio surprised 47 and slapped his name on the building. There's nothing that Trump loves more than that.
We are here together for the first time ever in this building. Brand new, beautiful building. I don't want to tell you how much it costs because I hear it's a lot.
Trump's ending wars, but Democrats are starting one with him. Seditious Six Kelly's launching the first strike.
He's trying to silence us. He's trying to silence me. He didn't like what I said. He wants me to shut up. But he picked the wrong guy to go after, because that ain't happening.
Kelly's daring Trump to arrest him so he can get that mugshot bounce and run for president. Maxine Waters, no relation, then hit him with the double tap.
The President of the United States is a killer. I am outraged at the way that on his own, without any consultation, he doesn't know whom they are, whether they're innocent or whether they're guilty. He should follow the laws. The laws does not allow or intend for the President of the United States to just kill anybody that he wants to kill.
Well, I'm afraid it does. Obama killed an American citizen with a missile, aimed it right at him. Maxine didn't call him a murderer. She called him Messiah. It'd be nice if Democrats would help us protect the homeland, but they won't even say the N-word. Narco.
Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Shipwrecked sailors is the new Maryland dad. Politicians got a briefing from Admiral Bradley today, who ordered the second Coke boat strike, and Democrats ran to the cameras to lie.
You have two helpless men clinging to debris, and perhaps they made a radio call for help. We're getting details on that hopefully soon. But two helpless men clinging to debris, radioing for a rescue, hardly means they're in the fight. They weren't in the fight even before the first strike. How could they be in the fight when they're helpless clinging to debris?
This is the Russia hoax on repeat. They get an intelligence briefing and then storm out and spin the truth. This is actually what happened. After the first strike, Admiral Bradley and his team and a lawyer spent about an hour analyzing the aftermath, waiting for the smoke to clear and assessing the damage to the drugs and to the boat. They determined the boat was still intact. The narcotics hadn't been completely incinerated, and the terrorists were radioing the cartel to come grab the goods. The Koch brothers were very much in the fight.
I saw two survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists.
Senator Tom Cotton, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, after an initial investigation, said he had no problem with the operation and said expect more of it.
Would you have taken the same shot if you were in that position?
If I was Admiral Bradley and I'd been delegated that authority, absolutely. And I'd do it again.
A war crime is not partisan. Anybody who sees a real war crime immediately knows it's a war crime. It's unmistakably repugnant. If Democrats and Republicans disagree on whether something's a war crime, that means it isn't, and it's politics. And the Democrats that have seen the video, they're not even really calling it a war crime. They're not even using those words. They're just saying they're concerned and faking it. So not only was a lawyer in the room, we've confirmed they're not fishermen, and the so-called survivors were trying to recover the boat, call for cartel help, and keep moving the drugs. We also confirmed that Hegseth never ordered kill them all.
I don't think there was. I would have been surprised had Hegseth given the order to kill them all.
The head of U.S. Southern Command, an admiral with 30 years of experience, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, various intelligence officials, the Secretary of Defense, prepared for weeks, gathered intelligence, and rehearsed contingency options for this exact situation that unfolded. They were in communication with SEAL Team 6, who was operating the drone. And after an hour of studying the footage, determined a second strike was necessary to destroy the boat, the Coke, and complete the mission. Sounds pretty methodical to me. Morning Joe says war crime.
The new sort of rules of warfare is if you have a prisoner and they're indefensible and they have a radio, you can shoot them in the head.
Right.
That's now the new Hexit policy. If they have a radio, you can shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
Forget the war crimes. So yeah, they're making up as they go along every day.
Yeah, so it's just a bunch of sailors listening to Shakira on the radio. Morning Joe wants us to sell tomahawks to Zelensky so he can shoot him deep into Russia and kill thousands of people. But we can't launch 2 missiles into the Gulf of America to protect the good old stars and stripes? Come on. Congressman Dan Crenshaw, a former Navy SEAL who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, says these guys don't know what the heck they're talking about.
I can't recall any time in my history doing counterterrorism operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, what have you, where we strike a group, whether that's a building or a boat or a vehicle, and then we were like, oh, well, they're survivors. Do we have to go? We can't kill them. Of course we kill them.
Of course. If you remember, we didn't take a lot of prisoners during the war on terror. Those were shoot-to-kill missions. When Trump designated the cartels as terrorists, it changes the mission. The president absolutely has this authority to conduct this war the way he's doing it, and is on strong constitutional and historic grounds. But our friend Shree's not convinced. He wants to impeach.
This secretary has to go. He's incompetent. He's, violated. He has committed war crimes. He must go. And if both parties, if Republicans are willing to look at this for the merit of this case and not just their loyalty to President Trump, this can be done.
So if we're impeaching Hegseth, what are we going to do with bombs away Barry and loose cannon Leon? Listen to Barack's director of defense intelligence.
At the heart of it, we use double taps all the time. Some of them probably were injured, yet you hit them again. It was bipartisan support on the Hill for doing it.
My buddy who served in Iraq said, Jesse, anything worth bombing once is worth bombing twice. Now, that might be hard to hear for some folks, but it is what it is. Was a guy in a hole in Syria with an AK a direct threat to the United States? But Democrats in the media never picked a fight when Obama dropped 16,000 bombs there in 1 year and wiped out dozens of civilians. What innocent civilians are on these coke boats? These are cartel pilots. These are Venezuelan mob bosses, sex traffickers, drug runners. Do we need to stop sniffing so much blow in America? Yeah. We need to address demand. Yeah. But we also have to address supply. And blowing these coke boats out of the water does that. Coke boat traffic has dropped like a rock, and the cartels are on notice. And so's dictator Maduro. The president doesn't need to ask Schumer permission to kill terrorists, to knock off bad hombres in our own backyard. Reagan and Bush the elder launched military operations in Grenada and Panama without congressional approval. Clinton put boots on the ground in Somalia without congressional approval. Bubba bombed an aspirin factory to distract from Lewinsky and killed a janitor. Is he guilty of a war crime or a sex crime? I'm not a lawyer. But I do know the Geneva Convention doesn't apply to terrorists. These aren't men in uniform fighting traditional warfare under their country's flag. This is an asymmetric, unconventional threat that requires different codes and conventions. And every day is a battle.
The last 24 hours, our host nation counterparts, our federal task force, have seized 20,000 kilos of cocaine that were destined for the United States. Destined to the United States to spread this poison that's being sent here by these foreign terrorist cartels that are preying on our kids.
The people of the United States back this type of action. A new poll from the Reagan Institute finds blowing up narco cowboys in Latin America is the most popular national security policy of Trump's second term. In second place, the Iran strike. Democrats have now come out against the two most popular foreign policy actions of Trump's second term. We have a carrier strike group off the coast in Venezuela, and Maduro's getting paranoid. Reports say he's rotating his sleeping locations and using burner phones. The swarmy little socialist is also reaching out to Cuba for help and using Havana's bodyguards. The Coke boat hoax is just a sideshow for Trump. He's dialed in on enforcing the Monroe Doctrine.
Bombshell news from a house at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac in Northern Virginia. Now, this is the home of Brian Cole Jr., who was taken into custody earlier today. Federal prosecutors believe this is the man responsible for planting pipe bombs near the RNC and DNC prior to January 6, 2021, when, of course, we know what happened at the Capitol. So who is Brian Cole Jr.? Before we answer that question, it's important to remember this incredible fact about the case. Here's the Attorney General, Pam Bondi.
Today's arrest happened because the Trump administration has made this case a priority. The total lack of movement on this case in our nation's capital undermined the public trust of our enforcement agencies. This cold case languished for 4 years until Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino came to the FBI.
So there were no new leads, no new developments. Kash Patel's FBI, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino took the evidence already available, and they solved the case in less than a year. Now, in the months following the January 6th riot, Biden's prosecutors, they managed to investigate, track down, charge, 1,500, quote, pro-Trump rioters from across the country, some people that just walked into the Capitol, including many that just did that, nothing more. But in 4 years, they were totally incapable of cracking this case of this man pictured all over D.C., planting not one but 2 pipe bombs. How is that possible? Take a look.
What you're going to see is, as this case presents itself in court, you're going to see where we were able to collect the evidence and make the case against this suspect. And then common sense journalism and investigators are going to be able to look at it and say, why didn't these people do X, Y, and Z 4 or 5 years ago?
Now, this brings us to the pipe bomb suspect himself, Brian Cole Jr. There are news reports about his family's left-wing political beliefs. Fox has not yet independently confirmed that. Could this have had anything to do with Cole's motive? At the moment, we don't know for sure, but it is very weird that out of all the prosecutions from January 6, hundreds and hundreds of charges, Biden's DOJ, they couldn't managed to apprehend the suspect responsible for planting 2 pipe bombs that could have killed an untold number of people at both the RNC and the DNC. In fact, Brian Cole Jr. continued to buy bomb parts after January 6. In other words, he continued to pose a serious national security risk. So again, I ask, what happened at Chris Wray's FBI, Joe Biden's DOJ? Incompetence? Was it intentional? Were they too preoccupied with their lawfare against Donald Trump and his supporters? I imagine there's a lot more to the story, but for now, at least, we can be grateful that there is a new sheriff in town. Take a look.
But what we're doing at this FBI is also, we have replaced this entire leadership cadre. We have pushed out 1,000 agents into the field. There's a reason this FBI has 25,000 violent offenders arrested this year alone. That's twice as many as last year. There's a reason that this FBI is going to deliver President Trump the lowest murder rate in modern history by double digits. There is a reason this FBI is out there crushing fentanyl, destroying narco-traffickers, and making sure the homeland is safe and preventing spies from infiltrating our homeland and our way of life. That's what happens when you change leadership from the prior administration FBI, who wanted to weaponize and politicize law enforcement, to us, President Trump and the Attorney General, who want to just deliver law enforcement on every single front.
Now, in just a moment, the Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, he will join us. But first, we have one more incredibly strange observation from today's news. Just listen to this bizarre reaction from Virginia's senior senator, that's Senator Mark Warner. Take a listen.
But I got to tell you, it kind of makes me, looking at this crowd, doing a victory lap.
when all the senior FBI officials across all key divisions have been fired for political purposes, when in some field offices up to 45% of the FBI officers who were doing things like counter-espionage and cyber have been assigned to do immigration cases, it's a little rich that they're saying that America's safer. How much earlier could we have caught this guy if resources hadn't been diverted?
He almost seems angry that the FBI's new leadership fired, the political nut jobs inside the Bureau and successfully got back to solving serious crime.
So if you thought America is getting dumber, you're right. And it's not just from those Fox and Friends cooking segments where they see how long Kilmeade can keep his hand in a toaster. There's a new trend sweeping the nation's colleges like Joy Behar's tongue along the floor of a Chick-fil-A.
Ew.
Students are claiming they're disabled just to garner extra time for exams, as opposed to legitimate reasons like dominating the wheelchair basketball team. That's me, by the way. According to a report from The Atlantic, over the past decade and a half, the number of students at elite universities who qualify for accommodations has skyrocketed. And we're not talking physically disabled, we're talking ADHD, anxiety, depression, which leads to special perks like way more extra time on tests, easier formats like multiple choice, separate quiet rooms for taking exams, and worse, letting you sit next to an Asian kid. The result, at Brown and Harvard, more than 20% of undergrads are officially disabled, 1 in 5. At Amherst, it's 34%. At Stanford, it's nearly 40%, which explains why their mascot is a tree. It's nuts. At the University of Chicago, the number of kids qualifying for these benefits has tripled in 8 years. At Berkeley, it's quintupled, which, if you're one of those students, means the number thing got more bigger. And nationally, the percentage of young people with a special diagnosis is exploding faster than pink eye at a combination daycare strip club. I like that one. And this special treatment gives them an edge, since lots of tests are designed to assess your ability to solve problems in a set amount of time. But the kids who get the extra time, of course, they earn higher scores than those who don't. Meanwhile, at four-year schools, about half the students requesting such exceptions have no record of a diagnosis or disability. So students are definitely learning something at school, but it's how to game the system. Meanwhile, what aren't they learning? Basic math. True, college freshmen can't do middle school math, which sucks if they want to have a three-way with 2 sets of twins while riding on a train going 40 miles per hour. Professors note that kids lack basic problem-solving skills, and they can't handle multi-step equations, and they panic when asked to think without a calculator, which makes them perfect Democrats. At Harvard, for instance, the Post reports that more than 50% of all kids get A's in their classes. Worse, they have no idea that 50% means half. So this isn't really about helping kids at all. It's about protecting the illusion that elite schools still produce elite graduates. You know, the same way they tell you that your sociology degree will open doors, without mentioning the doors it opens are the ones to an Old Navy where you'll be folding sweaters. Now, this system works against exactly what it was designed to prevent, because if everything's a disability, then nothing is, which harms kids with real disabilities. And now you can blame the usual suspects, greed, sloth, status, but most important, it's lack of oversight. Because in today's world, accountability is viewed as an attack. You can never tell a kid that he's not disabled any more than you can tell a minority that they aren't oppressed. So it's not really the students who are disabled, it's the schools themselves, which are now padded room daycares where patients graduate with record GPAs and record levels of cluelessness. It used to be only the dumb kids who ate paste. Now they all do. But they demand it be gluten-free.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.